We're back in New York and Atlanta. Jacob, you take it away.
Nicole, we're back here with Sarah, Abby, and Stephanie, three very brave women who have come forward to talk about being in limbo right now after a judge ordered them returned to work at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, but the Trump administration has called that, Caroline Leavitt, I want to make sure I get this right, entirely unconstitutional and completely absurd. I would love to play for you a little something that President Trump has said about people who are in your position who have been fired from the federal workforce. Let's take a look at that.
What responsibility do you feel to the civil servants who have now lost their jobs? Many of them worked at the Department of Education during the first term.
Sure, I do. I feel very badly, but many of them don't work at all. Many of them never showed up to work. Many of them never showed up to work.
Abby, let me go to you first. We heard President Trump say there, many of them, speaking of people in your situation, fired federal workers, don't work at all. Many of them never showed up to work. Many of them never showed up to work. Your response?
I'd love to see the data that he's pulling that information from, because I went to work every day, my colleagues went to work every day, and our coalitions that we worked with would have known and noticed if we weren't working and actively providing them with the services that we were hired to do.
What's it like, Stephanie, for the man who's ostensibly in charge of your employment, albeit at a very high level, speak about the work that you and your colleagues have done in that way?
It's frustrating to not be seen as valuable. I think the work we do is, very great for the American people. The whole goal is to help protect and save lives, and to be said that we just didn't show up to work, to me, says that he felt like we didn't show up for the American people. Might
any of you consider not returning to work in the federal government categorically because of the experience that you guys have been going through? I mean, are you confident you're not going to be fired again, even if you are reinstated?
Oh, we will be fired again.
I think the expectation is that we will probably be fired again. I personally would love to do my job, and serving the American people is what I have gone to school for. It is part of my ethos. Is I want to, it's my American duty to serve the American people. I feel really strongly about that. A piece of this country's ethos is ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And I think that federal workers, and all three of us, are the embodiment of that core value that we've had in this country for decades.
I know Nicole Wallace agrees, and I know Nicole wants to jump back in. Nicole?
I just want to pull you in on that, Eddie. I mean, what a perfect segue. We ended the hour with Ambassador McFaul talking about American values. They're not just a mushy pot of extras for when times are good. They're what sustains a country that is just an idea when times are bad.
Oh, absolutely. So this is not just simply about waste and fraud. We need to ask, what are the values that are motivating Elon Musk and Donald Trump in this moment to cut, to do all of these things, and all of these things that are harming everyday ordinary folk, as we see here with Stephanie and Abby and Sarah. So look, it's Lenten season. I'm thinking about chapter 13, verse 15 of Matthew chapter 13, 15. For the people's heart becomes calloused. They can hardly hear, and they've closed their eyes. There's something about the callousness of the moment. I keep behind you is the reflecting pool. We were together when in the Biden administration, when all of those candles were around.
COVID.
Oh, a million
deaths.
Dead. And this is what we're doing with the CDC. The country is destitute of memory, and its heart has calloused.
Jacob, how much do you, sitting there, feel is a tie politically and emotionally and through grief and trauma to COVID and the post-COVID politics of the right?
It's extraordinary. It's hard not to be here in Atlanta with these incredible women and many others, by the way, that I have talked to over the course of the weekend and on Friday when these orders were issued and the White House indicated they were going to fight them. And I should be really clear, the White House has appealed here. I was out there, too, covering COVID with the rest of our colleagues and experienced what it was like to be a part of a system where we were all so isolated. But we knew that people here in this city, maybe as many as 10,000, were fighting to make sure that we could get back to do exactly what I'm doing with these women right now, sitting here across from them, talking about the importance of their work. And so, if anything, I hope people just see this and understand it for what it is. These are real human beings with families. Abby has a little boy she was just telling me about, who just like all of us, were out there, fighting for us, if not during COVID. They came into the government after it, even knowing sort of the political peril that doing so might bring to them. And I consider the women I'm sitting across from heroes.
I do too, and I think most people do. But there's a real absence of people filling the information space with the truth. And the truth is that, of course, everybody at the CDC is an American hero. But instead, people like Anthony Fauci will have security for the rest of his days on Earth.
It's a lot to take in. I think one of the most tragic things that the Trump movement has accomplished, and I pray that it's revocable, is this idea that government and government workers are the enemy, are never capable of accomplishing anything. I mean, nobody really believes that there aren't efficiencies to be made or reforms to be had, but that's actually not what this is about. And we should call that out every day, because you don't shoot first and then say, oh, I'm sorry I took away your PEPFAR and your child has died of AIDS. I'm sorry that I fired all the teachers in your school, that whatever it is. I mean, that's actually what's happening, is that they're selling the government of the United States to billionaire friends, or destroying it so that they can institute authoritarian policies. That's what's happening. And I think what we just saw is so powerful from these CDC workers, because everybody in American life knows a government worker, and at all levels of government, not just the federal government. I went to public school. I was taught by public school teachers.
Me too.
I am so grateful. They are wonderful government workers. You know who else are government workers? The people who pick up our trash, the people who create vaccines, the people who do cancer research, who deliver babies in public hospitals. There are so many ways in which the government touches our lives. And can it do a better job? Sure. So can companies, right? But destroying it is not about serving anybody except for Donald Trump and his billionaire friends. And I believe it's also about attacking civil society that is there to protect the American people and our institutions. And this includes the military. This includes public health. This includes, veterans associations are under attack. Who is this serving? Not the American people. These are public servants. We heard from public servants today. And I just think the more we can actually humanize this situation, the harder it's going to be for Donald Trump to lie.